You guys hear me? YouTube land? Must, because I can hear myself, so must be able to hear me. So also the other thing with this YouTube, you have to adjust your personal, I'm sure most of you know this, but I'm illiterate when it comes to technology. Like when I log in here or get on this stream, because I can see my YouTube stream, I'm on like 360 DPI, so you gotta, or whatever it's called, you gotta change it in settings if yours is all blurry, so if you can't see the prices. So I'm sure you guys know that already, but all right, I gotta do the disclaimer and I'll be back in 90 seconds.
Risk disclosure statement. There is a risk of loss in trading stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, derivatives, options, forex, and cryptocurrencies. This risk can be substantial and therefore investors should carefully consider their financial stability prior to trading. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. The software, strategies, chat rooms, websites, and any associated websites or digital venues are for educational purposes only and should not be construed as an express or implied promise or guarantee that you will profit or that losses may be limited in any manner whatsoever. Users of the information accept full responsibility for the outcomes of their deployment in Wholesale Senate Trader, LLC, and any associated companies, agents, management, owners, and customers harmless without preservation. Please trade responsibly. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, Rule 4.41, hypothetical and simulated trading performance results have certain inherent limitations, some of which are described herein. No representation is being made that any account below is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those shown. In fact, there are frequently sharp differences between hypothetical or simulated performance results and the actual results subsequently achieved by any particular trading program. One of the limitations of hypothetical performance results is that they are generally prepared with the benefit of hindsight. In addition, hypothetical trading does not involve financial risk, and no hypothetical trading record can completely account for the impact of financial risk in actual trading. For example, the ability to withstand losses or adhere to a particular trading program in spite of trading losses are material points which can also adversely affect actual trading results. Because these trades have not actually been executed, the hypothetical results may have under or overcompensated for the impact, if any, of certain market factors such as lack of liquidity. There are numerous other factors related to the markets in general or to the implementation of any specific trading program which cannot be fully accounted for in simulated trading or in the preparation of hypothetical performance results involved, of which can adversely affect actual trading results.
This trade room and this webinars are not intended to mirror my trades or to give specific trade recommendations. The analysis and stuff, as I share trades and potential trades that I'm taking for myself based on my personal analysis. The goal of this room is to teach traders how to identify specific areas of trading manage for themselves, but ultimately the decision is yours. Trading is extremely risky, and if you do decide to follow my personal trades, you do so at your own risk and potentially lose your entire account and even more. I'm not always profitable and I have routine drawdowns on my trading accounts. The spreadsheet you have access to is my personal spreadsheet that I use to enter zone values and ATR values that help me pinpoint exact prices for my trades. You can see when I enter zone prices into the master spreadsheet as well as the prices to enter trades, whether you want to go long or short. You have the ability to copy the spreadsheet and enter in your own values and use mine to confirm zone prices until you're able to draw the zones correctly yourself. The spreadsheet is not telling you which direction to trade as it has entry prices and stop prices for both long and short positions depending on which way you personally decide to trade. Alrighty. So stuff flying off all over the place here. I missed a trade in NASDAQ because I was drawing zones in 4 different products.
IMF member quota increases. Does the US Treasury Undersecretary Shambaugh, who's currently commenting on the IMF, again calls for IMF member quota increases?
Just a little bit. So the Fed chirps are supposed to be happening here, so that's why it's a little crazy. Hold on a second. Let's see. Fed Harker is supposed to be speaking, so that should rescue the markets here on this downdraft because that's what they usually do. Usually come in good cop, bad cop. These sub guys come in, pump it up, and then Powell comes in and lays down the hammer. But I'm expecting some kind of rally if this guy starts to chirp. I'm not putting on trades because of that, but it won't surprise me at all. Anyway, right at the open there was waves of some sell ice. You had these two here. I drew there, and then it went up a little higher, and then you had more up here. And I was watching the zone, and you got the ATR. So this is my conservative entry, ATR retest failure, and I was supposed to be in at 0150, and I missed it, or 01 quarter, and I'm not going to chase, so it was like down here, and I missed it, and so I put it here. Of course, it comes back, misses my fill by like a point, and then does that. So I completely missed this trade because there's been stuff in all these markets as far as ES and RTY. So I'm watching this set up here in ES. I just want to see what these prices are. Oh, let me post this too. So this is the everything about my room here. New indicator course. Whoops, didn't want to do that. That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. New SI indicator course. There's a little YouTube video on it. My new spreadsheet and inflection zone charts. That's this website here. You should just go to scalpeltrader.org. We'll go over this a couple times because I'm using these sheets as well in here. But you can get the spreadsheet I'm using, the zone zone charts I'm using for the inflection zone. We'll go over that thoroughly today, and then or you can get both at the same time. You get this free in my room, but if you can't get in my room, you can still get this stuff. Let me post this in. Why is this not letting me in the chat? Hold on a second. One second. There you go. Put that in there. Put it in. I'll put it in Discord as well. Give me 1 second here. There you go. All right. So I wanted to see. Let's see what I did here. This is that last zone here. Stop run in ES. Actually, that's not the one. Put it in this. So this is what you get is if you just get the spreadsheet. So that's that zone there. That was the ATR. ATR is actually up to 4.45. We'll go over what you do with this here shortly. So to validate that as a short setup, I need to see this validation price set 44.34 quarter. I don't think it got there. No, got down to 35. So this is how I determine what these setups are. Again, from watching so many of these things over the last 5 years, I've determined if the market's able to push away a full ATR, that tells you, it gives you kind of a hint of which way this is going to trade, right? So when you get these volume events, like this was a stop run, if it's able to push the full ATR around here, then I play that as a bearish event. If it's able to get an ATR above, I play it as a bullish event. So this is one still in limbo.
So if everyone says they continue to seek agreements on LNG in Australia.
So I'm just watching to see which way this trades. So right now, this is another thing we use in my trade rooms. I call it algo guy. It's just an exponential moving average. It's the short-term exponential average ribbon. These are just a bunch of little or smaller exponential average prices or ribbons here, and then these are longer term. So if the blue's below the red, that is a bearish trend. As you can see, it's been bearish for 3 days now. Crossed here, never crossed again. This was back on 9-1, and it just keeps trying to poke its head. Just pokes its head above, but it can't get the blue to cross back above the red. So this is we talk about this in my room all the time, where you can, say you get a position on this day, and this thing crosses and you get short, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to hold one until this cross. Like, you get out of your normal areas as a day trader, right? But you're like, I'm going to hold a piece until this thing crosses. Well, you're in this trade for 100 plus points if you're just literally waiting for an algo guy cross, meaning the blue crosses back above the red. So this is important information. A lot of these algos are trading off of this thing, so you want to know which way this is trading, or this is trending, sloping. So I will not take trades against that for my aggressive trade, or my setups like Bark and Lick, and these are my trading strategies here, right? So you can see the Bark is just a blind ATR retest confirm, right? So it's basically a trade in a vacuum. I don't really have any other filters for it except for algo guy, but any volume event, and they happen nonstop. So this is the most active trade, obviously. I can get an ATR, and this is obviously the ATR above, and you can see it bounced right off that prior volume event. So if you get ATR retest failure, you take the trade, right? Well, I normally would take this trade in a vacuum, but I've added an algo guy just because I've noticed so many of my losers off of this trade and the lick trade, where I'm trading to liquidity, the same process, trading to resting liquidity, become losers if I'm fighting algo guy. So this is a bullish setup right now, but I'm not going to take this particular bullish setup because algo guy is still bearish. So the one thing I could be taking here that I didn't notice, this has been my day so far, I think this is an inflection zone. No, so it was not. So if this gets a little lower, I would take it. So my Izzy trades, inflection zone trades, I can take aggressively, even if algo guy's against me. So if this market moves into this zone and I got a volume event that was bullish, I would take that aggressively, first move out of there. But this is actually not an Izzy. It's coming back. So Izzy's are fade trades. So right now, if this came, see how it moved out of here. It's coming back in this important zone. If I get a volume event, I would take that short aggressively. If it does something like this, moves through it, comes back to it, then I get a volume event that I can take long aggressively. So really nothing to do right here off of this particular ES setup. But they did the usual. We talked about this yesterday in my PM webinar in my room. They did the sneak attack. I said, I bet you I wake up this morning and the thing's down 30 to 50 points, and that's exactly what happened. It just seems like the only time this thing can sell off consistently is overnight. So this was a balance breakdown. Pretty surprising. It usually does the juke move and then go. This one actually came down right through the zone, came back into the zone, and then gapped down from this zone. So this zone's still important. I want to see what happens in this zone. So these zones are drawn to the 4 important areas of charting: tops and bottoms of balance areas, high volume nodes of balance areas, which that's just the area of a balance area that trades the most, buying and selling tails. Not a lot of tails on this chart, but we can find some on the other charts, and then directional conviction. So large moves out of areas, and gaps are directional convictions as well. So this would be a directional conviction move here. So you can draw these yourself. These are the zones you get as part of my subscription. I post them every day. I'm going to try to get this as a in a spreadsheet form. As of right now, all you do is you literally just get the charts as posted here, and you got to put these prices on your own chart. I'll get a spreadsheet form. Someone recommended actually this morning the cloud notes for Bookmap. I'm going to check on that. I just don't know. I think that can be shared. So if it can be shared, I'm not going to do it, but I will look into it. I know Spot Gamma does it, but I don't know if it's shareable. So that's that. So this is basically just bouncing. You can see. So for instance, if I did get long here, I would have been eyeballing this prior volume event. So this was a ton of buy ice that came in earlier that this turned into a broken ice setup. So there's a lot of confusion out there what I'm doing as far as my SI indicator course is the base course, right? That talks about these volume events and there's 5 or 6 different volume events. Let me show you guys this real quick. So I can clear up. Of course, I'm logged out. So this is the base course, right? This is in the first that document I posted. Hold on one second. So this goes over the basics of identifying the stop iceberg areas and how to trade them, right? So you get, and then all my settings for that sub chart. That's my driver of what I would draw in my zones, the on chart, the sweeps, and then how to draw the zones, and then these are the distinct setups, right? So these are the setups that drive my trading strategies. So I wait for these setups in important areas. My important areas are these trading strategies. And I'm going to have a course on this here very soon. My ATR strategy, we'll go over that. That should be out this weekend as well. So I use my volume events from that original course. That's the driver of these trading strategies, right? So you may have your own important areas, I'm sure most of you do, that you look for. Well, they're even more important if you can get a volume event in those areas. So, when I come out with the trading strategies course, it's not going to be the basics. It's going to be, what I look at that I deem important and how I trade each one of these individual strategies, right? So you're going to want to know what you're doing with that, with the SI. If you don't know what you're doing, that's what the SI indicator course goes over. It goes over the basics, and then I get more detailed in the strategies. But the strategies are based off of the drive. The driver are the SI indicator events, right? So that's that. So anyway, this was one of the 6 distinct setups. This was broken ice. Huge ice came in here. You had 2,000 here. You had 1,000 here. 3,000 ice. Buy ice. Wrong immediately. Broken ice. You can see it came back, retested that exact. This is not a coincidence. This market bounced off this area twice, right? Because whoever bought here, and you have to look at it this way. It's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but you're going to make your life much, much easier if you just look at it as these guys are initiating positions, right? So when they're wrong, as it comes back, they peel out of the position, right? That's how you have to look at it. You can sit here and drive yourself crazy all day. Oh, what are they doing? Are they hedging options? Are they getting out of shorts? You're never going to know. So just assume they're initiating positions. It's going to make your life a lot easier. And all you need to know is these markets react to these areas, and you can see reacted, right? So it's like this is the most important information you can have in futures trading, in my opinion. I say it every time, say it all day, every day for 5 years. And like I said, I mean, for those of you who don't know my history, I've traded millions and millions of contracts as a shorter term scalper, staring at this thing back in the day, right? So I challenge anyone on this planet to have more volume experience that I do, right? So all these strategies that I showed you it's all based on my personal experience in these markets as a large trader, trading against larger traders back when I was a scalper. You can see who you're trading with too. So it's all based on how I would react when I was caught, when I was right, how they were when they were caught. So that's what the whole course and these SI setups are based off of. All right, so there's really nothing going on there. So I deleted that. Remember I told you I missed that short. I took it out. I was going to get in, and I would have got out here at, guess what that bounced off of? A prior volume event. So I would have got out of some here. So by the time I got down here, I would already been out of some. So I canceled that order when it came back. So I missed it right there. Did not get filled there. I would have been out of some here, so I'm not going to put it back on as it comes back. But shockingly, this bounced right off this prior volume event. That's why you guys want to know where these things are. You're staring. How many traders are just staring at market profile, market volume profile, and bar charts? You have no idea what the activity that went on in this zone, right? So technically, yeah, so I mean, there hasn't been a bullish setup per se, but like I said, I'm not going to get in on the retest of this zone because I already missed the first retest of it, right? And I would have been out of some, so I'm just going to let this play out. So this stuff is just, it's done. I'm waiting for a new setup is basically what I'm saying. And there, and Russell I didn't, so this is why I missed the NASDAQ trade, because stuff was firing off in ES. I was drawing that huge ice zone, and then there was stuff firing off from Russell, and then there was more Russell stuff that I didn't even get drawn here. And this is market pulse. We'll go over that a little bit, hopefully. So I just want to see what I missed here. 268 buy ice. You can see it on the on chart as well. Right there. Started a trigger here. This was not threshold, but then more came in here as it moved lower. So the way I'm going to draw this is I'm going to incorporate both these areas because they basically were back to back, even though this first one wasn't threshold. It looks like that was the top. So once it starts to plateau, this I don't want to get, this is pretty technical stuff. I go over to my course, but for a long time, many years, I was drawing these incorrectly. And it still is a profitable situation, but you can make it even better, especially because we're using ATR off of these zones and everything. I would go, okay, this thing spiked here, and I'm going to incorporate all the prices in the spike. Well, technically, this was not part of the buy ice as this market moved up, and you can see it on the chart there. It was right there. That's what triggered this first one, right? So I don't have to incorporate these because I have this on reset mode. So these are my modes that I'm trading, or the potential modes you can be looking at this sub chart here. So I have mine on reset, and for my icebergs, it's resets at every 1 minute. So it'll continue on the sub chart for up until the actual minute on my clock. So it spiked there, but that doesn't mean that. So you can see just flatlining. None of this was part of that iceberg, right? That was the iceberg. It spiked there, and then it just went to the minute and then tailed off. And then it came in again as the market triggered right there, and then that continued, and you can see it came in a little more, but that continued to the minute on my clock, to 7:01 minute, right? So we've been, for a while, a long time, I've been drawing these incorrectly. At least we got a handle on it. So you can see here, you just take your crosshair and you see where it stops coming in, right? So you can see these little cell bubbles triggered down to there. So then I would have drawn the bottom of the zone, incorporating both those zones. If I can So that's how I would have drawn that. Actually, I would have got to come down even more, right? So you see it was flatlining,
S&P Iceberg by ES 700 for contract.
and then it spiked even more. So I got to bring this down a little bit. So again, this may be confusing for you guys that are new. I go over this in my course. It's actually a progression because the first parts of the course were the old way of drawing it, and then I get more advanced, and show you after having numerous webinars with Bruce from Bookmap and the developer Vadim, they finally shown me the light. So that's an accurate zone. So I'm going to put this in. I still don't know what this is. I'm going to head over to ES real quick because
S&P Iceberg by ES 705 contract.
some of you like trading this crappy market, so we will. I mean, this is the market that I made all my money in, and I still dislike it. But you can see here, like, look at this information you're getting, right? So I'm going to remove this stop run because we have new information that's happening in the same area. So you had, see how this triggered right here? You can see it on the chart with the yellow line. I use yellow for my buy ice on my on chart, black for my sell ice. It triggered right there.
Iceberg by ZL 161 contract.
That was threshold. So I have thresholds for each market too. That is a meaningful area to trade. This was my threshold for or for icebergs, or 700. You can see that triggered 700, moved a little lower, then it triggered another 2,500 buy ice. If you guys don't think that's important information, then you are not going to be around very long in the trading world. I can tell you that. This is the information. This is what drives markets, not lines on a chart, right? I'm not talking about these types of lines. I'm talking about whatever indicators you guys are using that you think are magical. Well, it's not magical unless you're getting real-time volume at those prices. So you can see this came down a little more, and this spiked up a little higher, and then it flatlined. So these prices were not part of this spike, right? So this is a pretty small zone for how big this iceberg is. I just want to make sure that's correct, right? So you can see this, then it just flatlines until my minute mark. So it's gonna dissipate at the 724 mark, right? See that? So none of these prices were part of that zone. So that's the zone. All right, so we got nat gas number coming out here in 5 minutes. Today, because Monday was a holiday, you got crude as well, but that's not till 10 o'clock Central. So just be aware if you know, I got to remember that too. If I put a crude chart on that, you don't want to be holding trades in the numbers. All right, so that's the zone, and that's, this is a 1 tick zone for 3,000 ice, 2,800 ice, right? So 4440 to 4439.75. So I go to my spreadsheet. Plug in the price. 39.75. You put your current ATR, average true range. I'm using a 5-minute 14 period Wilder's ATR. It's just the default ATR on the Thinkorswim. You can get this set up on basically any trading software. You can see right there in the middle, that's 4.45. So that means it's basically telling you it's rotating four and a half points every 5 minutes is what it's telling you. Very, very important information. This is the most important information you can have in trading. I have the volume event, which is my zone that I plug in there, and then I have the volatility, the ATR. And then it automatically, based on my risk, you plug your risk in, you plug your account size in, you plug how much you want to risk in each trade. This is very aggressive. I'm trading these Apex accounts. If you're trading, real accounts, real money accounts, you want to make this 2%, right? And so what I'm doing here quickly is I'm just trying to get all these, and I will eventually, I'm getting all these, they all have their own Apex accounts, right? So I can keep the accurate stats, and I want to trade each one of these individually. So that's what I'm doing here, and building these up gradually to get these live. So I'm being more aggressive with my trades, risking 10%. So I'm risking $500 on a $5,000. It's a $5,000 risk for these accounts. We'll go over Apex a little later, but this is very aggressive. If you're trading a real account, you shouldn't be risking more than 2%. Put in 2%, that means you're risking $100. Some guys don't like that. They don't think that's a lot. Well, that's fine, but you're going to have a day. If you're risking 10% of your account, you're going to have a day on each individual trade. You're going to blow out eventually. So I'm not going to go into that right now. I might later, but so anyway, now I got to see which way this moves out of here, right? To determine what I want to do. I already know algo guy's bearish, so I can take the barf trades and the lick trades to the downside if they present themselves. I would consider this an IZZY. right? So this market moved below, came back, we got the volume event. That's not a good color for this chart. So I could take an IZZY short too. So the IZZY is aggressive short, meaning the minute it breaks out of here. So I put that in right now. 34.75 would be my entry, and it tells you, the spreadsheet tells you everything. It tells me I could put on 10 MES, or you could put on one big contract. But guys, there's no reason to not be trading micros. Like, well, I don't want to be one or nothing, or one or done. So I put one big one on, and when I'm out, I'm out. If I put on 10 micros, I can piece out of the trade in important areas, and we'll go over those too. So if this comes down, so I have rules. If this gets up to the short invalidation price, then I'm not going to take that short. What's that? All in the spreadsheet, 35 quarter. So if this market gets up to 30, I'm sorry, that's not right. What did I just do here? I'm sorry, that's invalidation price, 44.50. So if this gets up to 44.50, I cannot take that short. But as of right now, I'm going to put it in 34.75. I can put on 10, and this is the IZZY short.
1 minute remaining for the net gas storage change.
34.50. That's not the right account. All right, that's working. Hold on. All right, so remember, the IZZY trades are aggressive, meaning the first move out of there, I'm going short. And then I have the conservative entry trades that I look for, BARF and LIC. So let's see if there's liquidity down here. There is. It's not very far away. So you got to judge when you take these trades, hey, am I going to take, I've got a risk, and it's all in here, what you're risking. So if I'm taking this trade based on the current zone, based on the volatility, I'm risking 10 points. Well, if I enter that trade for the liquidity trade, I'm only really making 5 points to this liquidity, because this liquidity is down at 30. So you got to ask yourself, am I willing to risk 10 points?
Icebergs sell NG, 156 contracts.
Am I willing, because you'd be entering right here, am I willing to risk 10 points because I put my stop and ATR outside of the zone to stop from being algoed nonstop? So am I willing to risk 10 points to make 5? That you're not going to make it as a trader if you're getting half hours on your trades. It'll catch up. That might work out here, but over the long run, it's going to catch up to you. Every time you lose a full R, and when you make it, you make a half. I wouldn't be taking that trade. So the point is, I would not take this liquidity trade, but I can still take the BARF trade, because my BARF trades don't get out at the liquidity. My liquidity gets out at the liquidity. That trade is specifically designed to get out at the liquidity trade. Take trades in the direction of major long-term liquidity. Trade has to retest the zone for entry. So the liquidity trades, I literally get out at the liquidity, and no questions asked, right? My other position trades, I have certain areas that I get out, and that's all in here. We'll go over these, but these are these areas here, right? So the entries are very automatic. Where you get out of the position trading is it's not very subjective. I get out of the same areas all the time, but this is why you want to have multiple positions on, so you can get out at certain areas and you can hold a piece for the bigger move, right? So we'll go over that as if we ever get a trade here. All right, so my IZZY trade's working. I just want to make sure that's correct, that I put that on. So that was 40. It was just below here. I'll take it. This is a very important area too. This was this balance area that this launched from here. I would make this one bigger balance as well, right? And that's the high volume node. So if I do get short, I'm going to watch this zone very, very closely, because I could see this bouncing out of here, especially because this has been one basic big down move for the last 2 days, and that rarely happens, as we all know. If you trade equities, it usually does one of these, then it goes, right? So if I do get short here, I'm watching this zone very closely. If it struggles, and I'm going to use my market pulse, and actually forgot to put on my buddy Tick Strike. So all this stuff is in the sheet I shared with you. This is everything I use. Click on those links, you get discounts to everything that I'm using. So this is Tick Strike, so keep an eye on this. And let's see if we get our fill here. 34.50 is my entry. Let's see if you've got any questions while I'm waiting here. Why is this paused here? Okay, forget it. I was looking at my YouTube, it was paused. trader, pick an apple of an orange tree and make lemonade with it. Are you drinking this morning milk? What does that mean? Are you guys got any questions? Fire them into YouTube, please. Whoops, I just turned that off of. All right, I am filled on my ES short, my Izzy short. So now I use my spreadsheet. Make sure you're changing this ATR. This is what I was not keeping an eye on. 4.66, so I may have been filled at the wrong price here. 34.50 should have been my price. All right, so I would have been filled regardless. All right, so now I enter there, and it just tells me my exact price, my stop price. Again, this is all going to be in the spreadsheet that I use. So this is the one that I use, and then this is the one you get. But I use both of these. They're the same thing. They're just one's on the website, one's the Google spreadsheet. So entered at 34.50, stops at 45 quarter. So I put my stop in 45 quarter. So why is my stop there? Because I'm forcing, hold on, let me get this in. The other thing I want to take a look at, then we'll talk about what my stops are. These are big levels. Extremely powerful, you can see. So I'm hoping, and this is in that inflection zone that I just showed you on the chart. This is my ultimate target right now. I'm trying to get down. When I put on trades, my main targets are these major lugs. She calls them big blue, big red. This is in the document 2. You can go on our website, get a 3-day trial, say something on Bookmap webinar, you get special pricing. Anyway, this area is very important. You have the lug, blue lug, baby lug, just a minor lug, and then you have the top of this market profile composite. So I will be watching very closely as it comes down there what I'm going to do. But those are my targets. So anyway, my stop is based on, these are my rules from watching so many of these things. I force, when I get in trades, so many of you love getting short and then being like, oh, I'm going to, if it moves a couple points, I'm going to trail my stop to break even. And then the thing just does its usual algo move, right? Whipsaws you out, and then it drops 40 points, and then you're sitting here beside yourself, right? So when I put on trades, I do not that I like this type of trade, but I expect it because that algos are 85% plus of the market, right? So I'm expecting right now to be tortured to death. For me to be stopped out of this trade, this market has to come up the full ATR. It's got to get through the volume event, and then I force it to get a full ATR out of the zone for me to be wrong, right? That's just how I trade. So many of you don't like risking a lot. You want to impose your own risk rules on the market. Be my guest. You're not gonna do well over the long run, right? If you just have these statics, I put on trades and I'm out with 2 points of loss, have at it. But what are those 2 points in here? These algos know nothing's going on right now. They can see it just like we can see it. That's when they start taking all you poor traders' money that love to just have your static stops at 2 points, right? So that doesn't mean I'm going to not be wrong here, but I'm going to force this to get all the way through here to stop me out. And the other thing I want to make sure is I'm not stopping out in this prior volume event that already bounced off the first time. So I may move it up a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to be right in the middle of the 45 quarter. I should be right above it, I think. Yeah, so I'd be above it. So I'm okay with that stop. But I usually, so say my stop was right in this zone, I would move it out because we already saw, like right there, how this market bounced off of there. I'm not going to stop out right in the middle of a volume, and I'll put it above, but I'm already above, so I'm all right with that. So that's why my stops are where they are. You guys can do whatever you want. I tell you every single webinar, this is the science. There's no disputing. There was 3,200 buy ice here. This is a fun trade so far. That's going to be a quick loser. But how you trade these is this is trading like there's news out, by the way. Is this guy talking? Like, this doesn't just swipe up 10 points on nothing. This is definitely trading. You can see the liquidity pull. Something was just said somewhere. So you can tell when this liquidity, you see these algos, when it turns black, something's, he's not, the Fed guy is supposed to be talking right now, but I'm not hearing anything from the squawk. But I'm telling you, something just came out there because you can see the liquidity pull swipe up. I'm going to get stopped out of this trade very likely. And guys, this is trading, right? Like, you do the best you can with your rules. You cannot control if something comes out of the blue. Something just came out. See how it turned black? So how do I know that's going to happen? I don't. What I do know is my rules. My rules are I put my trade on, I put my stop in, and I let the trade work. If I get stopped out, right back to the next trade. That's what trading in probabilities is. I can't control something just came out of something just hit the wire somewhere, guaranteed. And now here we go. Now I get to get tortured with this too. So we'll get stopped out here very likely, and then on to the next trade. Let's see what else is going on here. I think I might have missed a Russell trade too. It'd be nice to hear from my squawk what that was. That'd be nice. Not a peep. All right, so that was that last ice zone there. Even if this got an ATR below, which I didn't. So this actually might be a bullish setup. I might be able to go long Russell. Let's just make sure this is accurate, up to date. 1852.2 to 851.2. I think I put this in. No, sure didn't. ATR in here is still not a peep from the squawk guy. What just happened there? Why the market just spiked 10 points with all the liquidity points? Somebody knew. The algos knew what happened. I just got stopped out. So I don't feel good about that, but it's like, what am I supposed to do? I put on my trade, something comes out, something comes out. So I stopped. Well, now I'm waiting for a new setup in here. I technically
S&P iceberg by ES.
There you go.
1026 contract.
Guys, that's the thing, right? It's like you put trades on to the best of your ability. You follow your rules. If you get screwed by some kind of news event, you stop out. You don't hold it. There's a new event right around the corner, and here's a new event in the same exact area, so I can trade this all over again, right? I just want to make sure. I want to potentially can go long this Russell. All right, so that was the zone. So to make this, I just want to make sure this wasn't a bearish setup where my longs are disqualified. So the validation price for a long was 1848.5. Did that get down to 1848.5? Sure did not. So I can potentially go long this setup, but the problem is algo guy is not in my favor, so I'm not going to take that long off of that. Was this an inflection zone, an Izzy zone? Is my next question. I should already know this stuff. No, it was through the Izzy zone too. So I can't go long this setup in Russell. But what I can do is now okay, CT caucus. Okay, did you go long? Did you go long at the bottom of the volatility range? Okay, I don't care what was there prior. I care about what's happening real time. And I can tell you that market did not bounce off of there because it was the bottom of the volatility range. It bounced off of there because a news story came out, and that's why the liquidity pulled out of the market, right? I don't know what it was, and it is what it is. Yeah, that may have aided in it, but I'm telling you that's not what just happened there. That's not why it bounced 20 points off that area. Something came out. So again, if you are all knowing and you know exactly what it's going to do before it does it, you should have loaded your house up on that trade. You should have about 3 houses right now, right? So that's great to know after the fact, but I can promise you that's not why that bounced the way it did. I'm not saying it wouldn't bounce there, but that kind of market action, something came out of the market. All right, let's see here. So this, it looks like, is basically one price. Let's see, you can see the yellow line on the chart there, and then the market came down again. They tried to sell again, and they hit more buy ice here. So I'm going to just keep this original zone. Hold on. Yeah. So I don't even really, this is at one price. This is whoever this is very likely the same entity that bought it before. I should be able to see that on the on chart if they're not done. Right? This is the great thing about this. You can see them continue to execute. I'm just going to oh no, this was earlier. So I don't know if they're still there from, this was like the very first zone of the day. Remember it bounced off here the first time and moved and dropped down 10 points. All right, so this,
from the Wall Street Journal.
there you go.
Walmart's cuts starting play for some new highs. Again, Wall Street Journal reporting that Walmart cut starting play for some new highs.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Wow, that's great information. 20 points higher. Thanks a lot, man. I told you something hit the wire. You can just tell. You can tell by the speed of the trade and the liquidity pool. So obviously the algos picked up that news story, but my news squawk did not. So, and then here we go. So this is clearly a bullish setup now. Let's just put the zone in. Guys, this is trading. You got to accept stuff like that's going to happen, right? Sucks, I know, but if you have your stops in, you stop out, you don't get killed, you're on to your next trade. I'm just going to make this a one-tick zone. Whoops. Dummy alert. That sucks. All right, 5.37 now. So this is clearly going to be a bullish setup. I just can't unless algo guy is turning bullish, and that's not yet.
Wall Street Journal piece on the feed for anybody interested.
Hey, thanks. Hey, he's going to put the Wall Street Journal piece on the feed.
Reading into this, they do say that revised compensation.
Wow. Sorry, guys. I get a little frustrated with that. It's like I have a squawk for a reason. It does me no good to hear the damn news story after the market moves 20 points. That's upsetting. Financial Juice is actually the best one out there that I've seen, but that was a drop ball right there. Not only was it 20 points later, it was 10 minutes later after the story hit. That's upsetting. All right, what am I doing here? Oh, algo guy is not bullish yet. You know, I would consider it if the blue was on top of the red, I would consider taking a long here on a retest of the zone, but it's just starting to get here, and I'd rather see the blue above. So guys, there's plenty. If you pass on one, there's one right around the corner. Right? Let's go back. What am I doing here? So that was clearly an ATR above there, right? So this is a bullish setup. I'm not taking it. Unless, let's see, this may be the Izzy the other way now. So if it comes back, yeah, technically I could take an Izzy, but this is a variation of the Izzy, right? So the volume event happened in this zone. I wouldn't go long immediately because it was still in the zone, but now if it comes back to that volume event and moves back out, I could take the Izzy trade because Izzy trade does not take algo guy into consideration. So if this comes back to the zone, retest failure, I will take the Izzy trade. So we'll keep an eye on it. If not, then we wait for a new event. Let's see where we're at on the lugs.
ELC says lending standards are tightening.
It wasn't Fed Speaks, Secaucus. It was a news story. The Fed guy's been talking. I mean, he could have said something, but he started talking at 9 o'clock. That was that Wall Street Journal story. We just didn't get the news. So it is what it is. You know, it sucks. Take a loss, move on. That's why you should only be, if you're only risking 2% of your account size, you take a 2% loss. Let's go. Bring the next event. That's how I view it. Not happy with it, especially that I have a news service that doesn't give me the news on that instance. But like I said, overall, that's why I use Financial Juice, is because they're the best one out there. But that one was a drop ball. And I'm sure they know it. You can even hear in his voice. He sounded sad. All right, so we got the crude number here in 24 minutes. Natural gas didn't really do anything, I don't think. So again, you want to have this text alert box as well. So yeah, there was something in natural gas. Because I hear stuff, but I don't hear it. So if you have this, again, I show this every webinar, just go, this is all basic stuff. Go to your main page, main bookmap page, click on file, alerts, and then this will pop up so you can read it and hear it. So let's see if I missed anything in here. Very quiet day though overall. Like there's no grains firing off. But there may have been a little bit ago. I'm not really seeing much in here. I'm going to delete this zone too because this was pre-number and it's traded up and through it. So I'll just wait for some. That was soybeans. What am I doing? Hold on. Well, that traded up and through that zone too, but here we go. This is what I wanted to see. I was on the wrong market there. So this is right at the number. You had 170 sell ice. You had another 108. then you had buy ice. So I'm just going to let this play. I'm not going to draw this zone. It's just a swipe into some sell ice. I'm not going to draw a 40 point zone, a 40 tick zone into the number. I'll just let this slow down a little bit. Slowing down now. So I'm waiting for my next setup is what I'm saying. So we'll just wait for that. So like I said, if this does come back and retest the zone and then move back out, I'll take my Izzy long because that was the inflection zone on my bar charts that I showed you. So we do one of these, and very likely to do that because that's what happens all day long. We actually have a trade for that occurrence. It's called the reversion trade, and that is this. It's this part of the spreadsheet, and on the ones for the subscription, it's just the bottom here. So that you do the same thing. You put in your account size. Again, you shouldn't be risking 10% on any trade. Put your zone price in. Zone price is up here. This is not the newest zone. What did I say this zone was? Or you can just see it on here. It's the same thing. So if I were going to take the 1 ATR short, so I probably wouldn't take this one. So this is all going to be in my ATR reversion course. It's going to be literally just based on the strategy. We have disqualifiers. I wouldn't be taking this one where you, I mean, it looks like it may work, but I wouldn't be taking this one for a reversion back to the volume event because the one thing you want to be careful, there's a couple of things. One, when Fed clowns are talking, you don't want to be taking those trades, right, or in the numbers. The other thing is you don't want to be taking them with high relative volume hitting the tape. So when you see this thing spiking close to 2 to 1 or over, I would not be taking reversion trades, right there. So this is on the Sierra chart. This is showing relative volume for the last 30 days. That's what I have it set for. You can set it for whatever you want. For the exact time period, the last 30 days. That's very, very good information. I would not be using, so many are using the Thinkorswim version of relative volume, and they don't have that, the 30-day type. They just have this one. This is worthless to me because this is just showing me relative volume based on the last, I forgot what it is here, 60 bars, right? You can see right there. So what does that tell me? Okay, great. Of course, every open is going to look like it's high relative volume because it's going by the last 60 bars. So it's going by overnight trade. So normal relative volume for the open on Thinkorswim is 7 to 8 times. Let's see what this one was. This was 7 times, right? So if you're just looking at this, you're like, wow, 7 times normal volume's coming in, I want to trade it. No, that's normal for that time period. That's why this is worthless to me. I don't want to see, unless you know your exact time periods all the way through the day. So like I know the open's always 7 times. Well, if I see 14 times there, then yeah. See what I'm saying? But I don't like this relative volume look. This is way more meaningful to me. This is showing me the last 30 days, this exact time period, right? And for some reason, Thinkorswim doesn't have that option, which is absolutely ridiculous. It shouldn't be that hard to program into the system. Don't even get me started on Thinkorswim right now. But anyway, I would not take that reversion trade because I don't want to be messing around with high relative volume. We'll get in. Last week I showed up like 5 of them that worked. And then I also keep an eye on the footprint. So I use this to see. I use this very basic. I do not use this to trade. So for instance, like this is a ton of volume that just hit Nasdaq. Ton. This is double what I think is a lot. So you see here. Here's the first one. This is how you can use this, with volume event. This happened early on. 11,000. So I say anything over 10,000. This is a 40 tick reversal range, so 10-point reversal range. So it won't draw a new bar until it reverses 10 points or more, right? So, or just 10 points, then it reverses and draws another bar. So the point is, use common sense. Up move, big buying, large volume. Somebody's selling this. Somebody's off sides. So many times it'll come back into it a little bit, and then it'll launch higher. So all these sellers that just got run over here, they need to get the hell out. And then now you had another. This is huge for Nasdaq. 20,000 contracts in this bar. Got to remember, there's someone on the other side of this trade, right? The buyers are being aggressive. Yes, I pay attention to that, but the main driver of what I'm looking at here is that. So this is like the line in the sand for me, right? So you had this one first, and now you had double size. So whatever way this moves out of this area is probably going to be a whopper because of just the fuel that is in here. So if it moves higher, like this one did, you expect a big move. Like this one moved 60 points, right? Now if it moves out of here, I would expect even a bigger move, because all the sellers that are in here, they're okay right now. No, there's a lot of breath holding right now both ways, I can tell you that. Whoever's wrong, this way or this way, or this way, is going to have to get the hell out of their positions. That's how you have to look at it. Very basic, right? But trust me, this is what drives markets. So keep an eye on this. Does this mean the minute it breaks here, you get short? I don't. You could use this footprint to come up with your own trading strategy where you say, okay, once it breaks down here, and we actually have, this is in the works. You can see here on these trading strategies, this is in the works. This is the Bigfoot, somebody in my name. Right? Don't have that out yet. So that's another thing, guys. When I come out with this trading strategies course, it's going to be continuing education. So I'm going to have 50 trading strategies or more by the time this is all said and done. So if you get that course, you get continual updates, and it's the same with my SI course right now. I just added something the other day. I'm actually going to add some more. So if you have it, there's more coming. So I can, with the medium I'm using, I can always add stuff to it. So I'm going to be adding like Bigfoot and all these other, there's about 100 in my brain. So anyway, the way you can use this one, this is what the Bigfoot's going to be based off of, right? You get your extreme volume area, line in the sand, and then you wait for the volume event. As soon as you get the volume event, you get in aggressively. Because you know these guys, someone's going to puke whatever way this goes. And right now, that's why it's real quiet. Breath holding. I can't wait to see the volume in ES. Let's see what ES looks like. So keep an eye on this. I would say 15,285 to 15,190. Whatever way this breaks out of here, you're going to get probably a multiple move, meaning at least 100 points, probably 200 points would be my guess. I have no idea, but based on the volume, that's what I would say is going to happen. What am I doing here? ES. Yeah, this is huge, right? So my heavy volume, because we use this for reversion trades, not to take reversion trades. First of all, you got almost 50,000 just in this little area, right? Net buying. Again, I pay attention. I don't really care because the buyers could be wrong, right? I wait to see what, okay, they right when it gets out of here, and they, then it moved out of here. Now you have another 54,000. So this is definitely the line in the sand below here. Below 36, you've got over 100,000 contracts in this area, and that's where this first one started, right? Watch out if this gets below here. If it gets above, then I expect the sellers to puke. Right now, you can just feel the breath holding as it does this. And this looks like it's going to retest that zone too. So I would take a long here. This is the Izzy long that I was talking about. Let's see if it's getting back there. Here you go. I don't know if you guys have seen this pattern. It hasn't gotten back there yet. So I would not have taken that reversion trade, like I said, but let's just see if the one stayed alive. The two definitely. Yeah, so you would have been in the one, you're in at 49.75, you're out of, this is such an automatic trade. Guys, this trade is perfect for you if you can't sit in trades. There's no subjectiveness. These are the prices, and you put the trade on, and you let your own algo, you let it work. You're in at 49.75, you're out at 56.25, you're playing back to the zone at 45.50. That's the one ATR. And there you go, it's already heading back there. The two ATR, you would have been in at 54.75, stop out, I don't think it got to the two, let's see. No, it didn't get to the two, but you got the one on, and I wouldn't have taken that one. And my room members, if they were following what they're supposed to be doing, they probably wouldn't have taken that because of the relative volume. There's plenty of opportunities when relative volume is not spiking, which is 95% of the time. So you don't have to take that trade and hope that comes back when that relative volume is that high. But this one is trying to get back there. You would be amazed at how often this happens every day in all markets. That's why we have a trade built on it. And that's my next course. It'll be out by hopefully Saturday. I'll send out a mass email again. If you're not a member of my site, go on my site and any email. Just put your email in any email. I don't sell emails. I don't even know how to do any of that stuff, guys. So don't worry about that stuff. If I send out an email once every like 8 months too. So it's not like you're going to get, these trading educators. I'm doing air quotes that send you 4 emails a day. You get one every about 8 months. And it's basically when I release a course. So I will send a mass email out when the ATR reversion course is ready. That should be very, very soon. Hopefully by Saturday. All right, any questions? Space Cowboy agreeing with my complaining about the squawk. Like I said, I'll give them a pass. They're usually spot on. They do miss some stuff, but they all miss some. Trust me, I've used a good amount of them. They're the best ones that I've seen, but he did drop the ball on that. Like I said, at least he sounded sad when he came across the wire with it. All right, so I'm just waiting for something to happen here. I can't go long this until it goes to retest failure. We already know the lines in the sand, so yes, telling you, even after this webinar, keep an eye on this area, because whatever way this breaks, it's probably going to be Whopper City. There to there. Right now, just breath holding. The buyers are holding their breath a little bit as it comes back. The sellers are definitely holding their breath, especially these sellers, right? Now they're waiting, and whatever way this goes, whoever the opposing side is needs to get the hell out. All right, pretty dead. If you guys got questions, throw them in. This is the time to utilize my services. If you got questions about anything. If obviously there's some new traders on here who have no idea what I'm doing. Just ask a question. I don't care what it is. So I tell my room every day too. Then they wait for me to get off the webinars and they start typing in questions that I have to type. Like, utilize me being in here talking. So the other thing too, notice algo guy has pulled above, so Nasdaq algo guy's bullish, so I could take bullish trades if they present themselves. So, if this market trades up and through this zone, which it's pretty much doing, I'm eventually going to delete it. I'll give it one chance to go long if it comes back and retest that volume event. But then I'm going to delete this zone. So I update these every morning. Again, this is part of this new thing that I have because a lot of people can't get into my trade room. Right? So that's this. So if you want the zones, you get it there. I'm going to come up with a way too where you can have the cloud notes or whatever. I just got to look into that. And then here's the spreadsheet, or you can have both. So if you come in my room, you get this stuff for free.
Gasoline at minus 3.666 million, minus 3.666 million. Again, if you're on the forecast with minus 1 million.
All right, crude numbers out. So guys, this is what it looks like when numbers and news stories hit, right? It turns into, you can see Algoville, and then it gets black. They're coming back in now because the number's out. But that's how you know something's going on. But first of all, you know when you get run over like I did. But if this starts to turn black, you know they're just pulling their orders, and now here they all come again, right? This is one house too, by the way. You can see, like they just put it all in at one time. Look at this. You don't think this is algo? Look at this. Right? And then you guys wonder why you get whipsawed. So stop putting your orders, your stop losses in the middle of nowhere. Put them like I tell you to put them, or how I trade them, outside of the event, an ATR outside of the event. And that's going to really help you from getting whipsawed. Look at these things. They just run you guys ragged, right? They run me ragged too. I put on trades. I got to deal with it, but at least I understand what they're doing and what they're trying to do and what they have to do to prove me wrong. There's big liquidity up here, so if I do get a setup, I could take the lick trade. As long as the algo guy is bullish. I'm pretty sure it is. Something crude should happen here shortly, now that the number's out. Tug of war here, yeah, there's breath holding. Equities you're talking about? I'm telling you, this area is really, there's 100,000 contracts in this area. The move out of here is going to be, you're very, very likely to see, first of all, stop runs, because whatever, these shorts that just got loaded up in here, and these shorts, you're going to see stops, 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 same to the downside. That's not even counting any kind of icebergs that come in. But you just got to wait, right? You just sit here, there's nothing presenting itself to trade off of for me, I wait. And then you just sit here like a sniper. Right? I just want to make sure I drew this zone correctly. I may have retested and I just screwed up the... Came in there, you can see it on the yellow line, spiked up, but it spiked as it came back in. You can see these sell bubbles that are triggering more there.
And we have also posted the weekly AIA
More there.
report on the feed.
So I would not in court make this as part of that zone. These prices did come up here during the spike, but mine's just spiking for a minute, and then it dissipates at the minute mark, right there. So are these really icebergs? No, the icebergs came in right here, and that's why you want your on chart as well. I go over all this in the course too, like the settings and how to use the on chart and sweeps and everything else. All right, it's just breath holding time. We just wait. And this is where the algos start taking everyone's money, whipsawing everybody. And you can see it all here with the liquidity. Right? They put it in, they pull it. They put it in, they pull it. Driving, running traders ragged. Do I ever find that price reacts with previous day zones? Yeah, well, so especially if it's a lot, that's what I have. I mean, I don't. You could keep track of them. I don't because there's enough going on that day. But this is what this stuff is here, right? So you can see here how this was like. I only do it if it comes in. I posted this on Twitter a few times too. Like I think this was like 16,000 buy ice this day. Wrong, right? And you can see the move that came out of there. This was, I think, 13,000. Kind of rotated around it, came back, retested that exact area. Wrong, right? So, guys, the icebergs are not always correct. They're the big money, but they're not always right. We have a distinct setup called broken ice, right? So, that's this. So that was the misconception when this first came out, and I made these. I would do the webinars. These competitors, I use that very, very loosely because there is no competitor to Bookmap that I've seen. They'd be like, well, there's certain educators saying that as soon as you see buy ice, you go long. I never said that in a million years. I said, yeah, the tendency is to, because the big money is the big money. They control the market. So yeah, the tendency is it's going to go up if you see buy ice, but we have an exact setup called broken ice, right? So. And I figure out what it is based on using ATR. There you go. There's me. Hi. All right. That's about it. Feels like I've been on this webinar for 2 hours. There's just literally nothing happening. Like I said, it feels like breath holding. So that did not retest that zone. So I needed to retest. That's this position trading side. It needed to. What's that noise? Oh, I just got knocked off. Can you guys still hear me on? Can you guys hear me on YouTube? My OBS just knocked me off. Someone please tell me if they can hear me. That's not good if they can't, because I don't even know how to get back on there. It says I'm streaming. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, thank you guys. Deborah Corbel, how do you tell if it's an algo? Well, you can see them. First of all, algos are 85% or more of the market, right? But you can see the games they play with the liquidity. That's just putting in orders and pulling orders. So this heat map is showing you what's happening in the order book. That's all it is, right? This is worthless to watch in my opinion. This is all I ever watched. I'm going to have the tape. I finally bit the bullet. I brought it to a conversion service yesterday. You guys don't know what I did to try to get my old trading tapes of me scalping on video. They're all those mini DV tapes, right, from the 2005 camcorder type thing. I bought 3 different camcorders to try to convert them. They all were broken off of eBay. They didn't work. Then I got one that worked. Then I didn't have. Then the trading software, the conversion software is no longer exist. It only is for Windows XP. Then I was gonna put it. I have a DVD burner for how I used to use the thing. You need a specific cord, and that was like $40. I'm like, screw it, I'll just pay this. It cost me like $500 to transfer my tapes, but I should have that next week for you. They said 1 to 3 weeks. They should be able to get it done in a week. But my point is, all I did, and you're gonna see when you watch my old trading, I didn't have anything up besides the order book. Right, so talk about volume experience. All I did was stare at this thing, and you'll see it. And I was all over the place with my orders, scalping. So all I did was trade off of this. Well, if I'm telling you this is almost meaningless to be able to base your trades off of, you might want to listen, because I've traded about 10 million contracts in my life, probably more than that actually. Way more than that actually. I used to average 1 million contracts a month around turns. The point is, if I'm not using this anymore to trade off of, you might want to think twice about trading. I can't tell you how many people email me telling me they're trading off of the dome, or they want to know how to trade off the dome. You can't. It's too fleeting. The size means nothing. It'll come down here, you'll see 256, and then they'll yank it. That's what this is. That's why it goes from bright to nothing, right? And then bright. These are algos playing with you. That's how you know they're algos. The longer term stuff is real money that wants to get filled. That's why I don't consider this liquidity. I mean, it is liquidity, but not that I would trade off of per se. This one's been in there for a while, and you can see they keep trying to get their fill. But the fleeting stuff, these are all algos, and you can see it in the heat map. See these games, see what they're playing. So it's spoofing. Spoofing's supposed to be illegal. They're still doing it. What's spoofing? When you throw an order in it, you have no intention of getting it, of having it filled, and then you yank it. So what you'll see here, very likely, whoever this order is that still has not gotten their fills, it'll come up here. They'll put big bids in the order book to try to scare the market into their orders. How do I know that? Because that's what I used to do all day, every day. That's all I did was spoof. Back then, spoofing did not become illegal until like 2000. I want to say 2009, maybe. But it was legal when I was trading, and this is all I did. I've told you guys the story. I was hated on the street. I was the biggest trader out there next to this other guy from Gelber, and all I would do is play games with the market like they're playing games with you now. I was hated in my own firm. I told you the one story that I told last week. The one time, because guys were trying to trade, and I was just wreaking havoc with the market, like these algos are doing, right? So the one time I get up to go to the bathroom, and I'm walking past the guy's office, and I hear him swearing me out, like, F you, Pulcini, you jackass, blah, blah, blah. I opened his door. I'm like, sorry, man, I was just going to the bathroom. He's like, oh, sorry, I thought that was you in the market, right? So I was hated, right? Just like I hate algos now, this is the games I used to play. That's why I have a pretty good idea what's going on with the setups, so on and so forth, right? So point is, you're getting played with. When you don't see anything going on in here, and the relative volume's low, that's what you're going to see. Whipsaw City, right? So you'll see. Next week I should have the video of it. I had to reload everyone this end. You had to reload it. Sorry, it just went out. I don't know why. The broadcast. All right, so this is getting interesting. This breaks out of here. I can tell you that. There you go. Starting to buy the FANG stocks too. It's about to bust out of this heavy volume area. I can almost promise you're going to see some stop runs. Buy stop runs. And all that is a shorts puking. A very quiet day though. Like this is... There's nothing anywhere. There was a natural gas number. There was a crude number. Nothing in grains. Very weird day. No other questions. I got one in Discord. I just got, how do I get the 3-day trial for your trader? You got, Les, you keep asking that. You sent me, I was going to respond to your email. You said it through the support email too. I've never offered a 3-day trial to my room. These are the trials. What you're seeing here on these Bookmap webinars, that's the trial. This is what I do twice a day in my room. Same exact thing. I get a little more, these are a little more basic because I know there's newer traders on here. This is what I do twice a day. So the reason I don't do trials is one, my trials are these free Bookmap webinars. And two,
Iceberg sells EO, 151 contract.
if you come in my room, you get access to all this stuff. You get access to the spreadsheets. You get access to the charts. So all that stuff is paid for. So there are paying members in there that pay for that stuff. I'm not giving access for 3 days for you guys to get the spreadsheet, get this stuff. This is all part of the room, right? These are all the charts. This is part of the subscription too. Like I said, this is the trial. So you can watch my Bookmap webinars for however long you want. It's the same thing I do in my trade room. But I don't have any trials to my trade room. What you see is what you get. This is the trial. And there was nothing going on today, and we saw me get run over by a news story. So that's trading. And, a lot of my webinars too, I make a ton of mistakes. Like I forget to take stuff out, or I miss something. My mistakes are good for you guys too, because you learn what not to do. I'm the sacrificial lamb, right? And I still make mistakes. 24 years into trading, I still make ridiculous boneheaded mistakes. But when you're trading by hand, that's going to happen a lot. All right, you should be getting some Pukarooskies here in a second, I would think. I got nothing on. I was waiting for a retest of the zone. I didn't get it, so I didn't put this trade on, and I'm fine with it. Those were my rules. What else can we cover? Let's look at some market pulse, see if there's any market pulse setups. This is the newest indicator. I'm going to have a course on this eventually too. So you can see here, these sellers were quite aggressive, not working out for them. They're aggressive here. So I have this is market pulse, like I said. My settings. You can set them up for each individual product. You can have multiple. So I want volume and pressure and balance is what I'm using. And then you expand it here. This is actually not the right one. I got two going here. I should have another ES one. Hold on. I got one for 5 minutes, which I don't trade off of. And then I got one for an hour. So this is the hourly. Set it for an hour. This is just default stuff. The volume is really, you can get really annoyed like I do with Tick Strike. It's the same with the Market Pulse. So Market Pulse is just their version of Tick Strike, but it's Tick Strike on steroids. And you can see where the big areas have come in. You can't see that on Tick Strike. Sorry. You can't use that. You can't see it on Tick Strike. I asked them for years to get some kind of, because I want to see some past info, right? Like I want to see, hey, what did it look? What did the market do when these things were all at plus 15? That's like max buying. What did the market do after that? No idea. I literally used to videotape it just to see. Here with Bookmap, you can see that's what these spikes are. I have mine yellow and black. So the black means it was the most selling in the last hour, or one of the most selling events in the last hour. The yellow's the big buying events, right? So you can see here early on, and some of these were, a little bit of this was stop runs, but you can see them in the sweeps indicator. You guys, the information you get from Bookmap is insanity, right? You can see it here, sweeps. There's the market pulse, sweeps, market pulse, market pulse. How did these buyers do at the time? Not real good. And this is the pattern that it does. I have videos on this in my trade room. This is just like the SI events because it's the same principle. These are traders that are caught. These are traders that are wrong. These buyers were not right here. They pray it comes back, they peel out, that leads to the next wave down. It's the same principles. Is that a pretty good market pulse trade there? And this is short-term stuff, guys. The SI events are the driver. That's the big time stuff. These are still important, and you can trade off of them if you want to scalp, but they're usually short-lived because it's just heavy buying and selling, right? It's kind of like trading off of the bubbles. This is just the bubbles on steroids, right? And then you can even see here, the buyers got aggressive, wrong. Then the sellers came in, and the sellers probably were part of those buyers getting the hell out. And they were right, so this one worked, right? So that's how you can use this. I have the exact videos in my room. This is going to be a course too. This is my next course.
Iceberg by ZL, 155
Are we going to be forced to trade soy oil? Anyway, I have this. If you come in my room, it's right here. It's the strategy vids. So I have some actual market pulse examples. Crude, wheat, there's ES, GC. So I show that. It's not an official course yet, but it will be there for you guys if you don't want to come in the trade room. All right. So there's really been nothing going on here. That's why, see how it's just flatlining here? This is breath holding, in my opinion. Someone's about to be wrong, and it looks like the sellers. So we'll find out here. I'm talking the sellers on the footprint. These sellers got their way initially, and then not so much. So now we wait.
Cattle stock by LE, 669 contracts.
Any other questions? Is there anything you do differently or watch out for during rollover period? No, I just bitch the entire time because I hate it. It gets tricky because you're obviously they're rolling to the next month, right? So the volume events are split. Like you'll have 400 in October or September, 400 in December. You're like, well, what should I do? I just wait for threshold events. You get less of them obviously because they're rolling, and then you have to bite the bullet and wait. They suck. I hate rollover, but you get them. You get them every month in crude. But yeah, this is. I think the rollover starts pretty soon here, doesn't it? Because I know bonds is already flipped. All right, what happened here? So we can look at these other markets, and I love like people get mad when I look at soybeans or soy oil. It's all the same stuff. So even if it's a market you do not trade, you can still learn because it's the same. Here, we'll do it right now, right? It's the same patterns. I don't care what market you're looking at, as long as you know the thresholds, right? Let's take a look. Nothing is going on. And guys, this is when you sit on your hands, right? You don't force trades. There's nothing, I mean, if you're trading what I'm looking at, and if you're not using this information, you don't have all the information. But this is all the same stuff, right? But when stuff's not going on, you just sit back and you wait, right? Here you go. The threshold in here is 150. This is all my course too. I have 17 different markets I posted. I don't post the currencies anymore because they got rid of the icebergs. I wonder why that happened. I wonder if big money was complaining that people can see their orders and they went to the CME and said, please pull that information. I don't know that for sure. It's my opinion, but based on my experience, that's exactly what happened. All right, so this is basically one price too, right? So here it came. You can see it on the on chart. It actually started up here. This was not threshold. Let's see what this was over here. This has been coming in for a while. This was not threshold. You see it started over here. This is the same house though. You can see it. How great and cool of information is this? Look at that. This is where it got to threshold, so I'm not going to draw all that. I don't need, there's a 50 lot over here, and then they brought it down to here. I would not incorporate this because this is just spiking now, or this is just flatlining for the minute until the minute mark is up. You'll see it dissipates at the minute right there. It did come in a little bit more as it came up here. You see that? So I would bring this down. See the spike right there? So it went from 193 to 225, and it's the same house right there. Don't know why sell ice is coming in during selling, but I would bring, this is how I would make the bottom of the zone. So that would be the sell ice zone. And I like to color code them so I know what they are. Blue is buy ice or whatever color that is. Turquoise, whatever. Colorblind. Black is sell ice. That's how I would draw that zone. And you're going to see, I'm pretty sure it just does the same patterns. It hasn't retested yet, but this is all in the spreadsheet too. So if you get the spreadsheet, this is, you get soy oil in there. Trade just, I don't care what this is. It's the same stuff. You know your thresholds, you're good to go. Actually, this was buy ice too. This was up here, so there's a new setup since then. Let's see right here. I'm not seeing anything on chart, but you can see this selling triggered this buy ice. But it started over here more. This is only 49. I'm just trying to see where this came in. Over here. So I know this is annoying, but this is good for you guys to see how to draw these zones, right? So this was buy ice. It started there. You can see it start to spike there. This wasn't threshold, but it kept coming in, so I'm going to include it. Again, I don't care if you don't want to see soy oil. You should want to see how you draw the zones, because I don't care if this is ES and Q, soy oil. It's all the same. And then it came up to here. It's like right there. There's your zone. So looks like Battle of the Icebergs and soy oil right now. Just quickly, for those of you that are trading soy oil, you can look at the bigger picture. You get these chart zones too, part of the subscription. This is the Nizzy zone, right? So this was a move into this zone. I could take that this is an important zone. A bunch of stuff has happened in here. The further these go back, the more important they are, because stuff has occurred here. And it continues to occur here, right? That was that. That was directional conviction out of there. Then it was the top of this balance. Directional conviction. Moved out. Tail, tail, tail. Basically top of that balance area. Gap up. Tail. Important zone. So I would take this. I could take this aggressively out of here the minute it breaks out of this buy ice, as long as it doesn't get an ATR below. I could have taken, actually I could take it, this is a great scenario, and this is in the course too. These are variations where I could take, because this is the Izzy zone, I could take the long off of this setup, and I can trail my stop to that setup. So why don't we just go ahead and do that since absolutely nothing is going on. 60.79 to 60.74. And yes, soy oil is in the spreadsheet. This thing moves, man. Money's as green in the grains as it is in the ES. ATR is 0.166. Means it's rotating about 17 ticks every 5 minutes. So I could go long. Wait, that's not the original zone, was it? Yeah, it was. So I can go long at 98, and I could put on 2. It's all based on you just put your account size in there. So I think it's already touched 98. And then watch what I do here. This is the variation. So I would already be long. If it comes back, I'm going to go long at 98. Let me find my soy oil. Trading. Dome. Alright, so if that comes up, this is Izzy. So I'll go long at 98. So then what I'll do is then I'll put this new zone in and I can trail my stop. So my original stop is in the spreadsheet. Right? If say that new buy ice didn't come in and I'm going long off that sell ice zone as a broken ice zone, right? Because sell ice came out and they were wrong. Go long at 98, I stop at 55. 55 is an ATR plus 15% below the zone. That's what I demand for me to be wrong because I don't want to get algoed. Now I plug in the new zone. I just got filled on that, by the way. Plug in the new zone, 60.95 to 60.89. Come up here, 60.95. Same ATR. So now I'm long, not off of this zone, but I could if this moves out of here, I can go long on this one too. But now my stop's up to 70. So I just saved myself, what was it, 15 ticks, 20 ticks, right? So now my original stop was an ATR below this zone. Right? Now I move it up to this zone. The ATR is just below there. That's the variation, one of the variations of these zones. So that's how slow it is. I'm trading soy oil, but it is what it is. Stop goes at 60.70. Then I can potentially do the same thing with this zone. So you can see when you get a trending market, you can be adding in positions based on new events, right? So this new zone, yes, this is some good trade, by the way. Not. I lost my chart. It's up here. By the way, if you guys want to see what I'm staring at, I posted in my room a while ago. I don't know if I can find it, but I always get questions on it. Not that. That was a while ago. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but or you guys could just get a peek of what my room's like. You know, when these guys are participating, and I'm on them all the time to participate, posting charts and what they're seeing. This was way back. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Others manages with her 0 every day. That makes me happy every day. I always give her a heart. See, that's my heart right there. Because I want these markets to go to 0. It's here somewhere. Guys, it's slow. That's why I'm doing this. There's nothing going on. So the most exciting part of the webinar is me showing you my trading setup. I'm telling you, there's another 0. Thank you, Madam Shizzle. Ask questions. Utilize this time if you got questions. I'm telling you. I charge $350 an hour for mentoring. You're getting it for free, so utilize it. Workspace, maybe. No, I forgot what word I used, keyword I used. I can't find it. It's obviously not important, but another 0. Another 0. I can't find it, guys. Sorry. Couple more swipes. I may have passed it. I don't know. All right, I was going to show you. Maybe I'll show it next week because I always get questions on what it looks like. And I saw my room making fun of me, like, that's too many screens. You gotta keep it more basic. It's like, okay, well, I'm watching 17 markets and I need that many screens. Actually, I don't have enough screens, in my opinion. It doesn't make me a better trader having more screens, right? But if I'm trying to, especially for webinars, and I'm trying to watch all these markets, I need access to those markets. I can't just keep. You think you're losing your mind now watching me scroll back and forth? Can you imagine if I had one screen on one screen? I'd be crazy. I'm already on one screen for the webinars. All right, couple minutes, and then I am off here to ask questions. 15 years ago, webinars like this were non-existent. In-person event would never cover this, would cost thousands. You're exactly right, and this is free. There are still people that charge thousands. I was talking yesterday, like the cost of my course. You got guys out there that have never made a dollar trading, that act like they're educators. They're charging you $5-10 grand for courses. Like, give me a break, man. But you're exactly right. Like, this would cost an arm and a leg. This is one of Bookmap's. You don't see any of these other trading services that I know of. I mean, there might be a couple, like that have the software that offer you the free educators. And it's not just me. There's educators all week, right? So what you should be doing is watching these guys and you pick and choose what you like, and then you build your own trading plan, kind of like my stuff, right? So it's like the zone drawing and the setups and the trading strategies, pick out what you like. I tell my room, these are not meant for a beginner to be trading every single one of these. Pick one or two. Pick the slug, pick the Izzy. Become an expert at those. Be perfect at these, and then start to add them. That's what these are for. So this course will be out soon too. All right, like I said, this is not a good trade. It's still probably going to retest the zone. So if it does retest failure, I'll take the long. But I'm telling you, getting off this webinar, you can bet your bottom dollar that especially if this breaks lower, which I really hope. I don't know if I mentioned the zero thing. If this gets below that 100,000 contract area, again, the first part of that came in over here. That was here. So I'd say 30, 44, 34-ish. If you get below there, you're probably going to get at least a 20, 30 point move would be my guess. And I think it's going to be the same to the upside, just because there's so much volume in here. Do I know which way it's going to break? No, nobody does. That's why it's doing nothing, because all these traders are loaded up now and no one knows what's going to happen. And the minute it breaks out, you're going to see stop runs and you're going to see a big move. So be prepared. Don't let this lull you to sleep in here, because there are some loaded up traders. Low volume spreadsheet including your SI course. No. I will have, with the ATR reversion course, I'm going to give access to the spreadsheet for, I think, 2 months. But my room, you have access to the course for free and the charts. Other than that, the ATR, because the ATR, well, it is for the trading of the zones, but it's not part of the course. So maybe I can include 1 month. Maybe I'll do that. If you guys want to try it out, maybe I'll add that in there. How about that? Actually, I'll do 2 months. Does that sound good, Mr. Who has that? Pete. So you can try it out. Because this thing is gold. I'm telling you, like this, and I'm not. I had the basic part of it. My moderator in my room, Jay Labrada, helped build this out, and another couple of traders. He's the main guy though. He helped build the ATR reversion part of this. I mean, and so even this, like you can put in. I'm not using this, so like say for ES, for example, it's another benefit of having this. But this thing's worth its weight in gold, first of all. But anyway, you pull in. So say I'm going to get short off of this volume area, or say I'm going to get long, right? Let's just use a current example before I hop off here. Say I'm going to wait for the retest, and I trade to the levels are very, very important, right? And you use them for targets, you use them for information as far as thesis. So say I go long, and I want to go, my main target is, so we get, there's a volume setup, we're waiting for the retest. So say I go long that Izzy trade we've been talking about. My ultimate goal is a red lug, right? I'll get out of some of the important areas, but you can see red lug is real close to the bottom of this market profile. But just say it's red lug. So then I plug in, and I want to see what my R is. I put in 44.8350 for my long target, change this to long. 44.8350. Watch this. So I know my R risk reward is 2.5 to 1 based on what I'm risking to get to that red lug. That can help you decide, hey, do I want to put on that trade or not? We were talking earlier how that liquidity level, if I was going to go short, it was too close, I wasn't going to take the short. This is, you can just plug this in, right? I haven't used this a lot on these webinars, but that's another benefit of this. I don't even know what he did over here. He did a webinar. I can give access to those too. So if you actually, I'll have a webinar. I have my own walkthrough of this because it's going to look like this. But I'll include. I'll put in there as well Jay Labrada's when he goes over his spreadsheet, because then he starts talking about this stuff too. But I don't think this is even on this one. I don't even know what this is actually. But this is definitely on. It's right here. Long target. Plug it in. 44.8350. This is a different zone, but it's showing like that was my target. For that zone, that lower zone, it'd be 3.5 to 1. It's important information that you can utilize. And then this one down here is for the reversion trade. That's an incredible trade. Again, that's going to be my next course. Hopefully out by this Saturday, you'll get a mass email for that. All right, guys, I'm out. I think it's going to break higher. I don't know, but if it does, you are going to see some stop runs, and you're going to see probably a very large move, at least 20, 30 points, maybe more, would be my guess. We'll see. Pretty dead day. It is what it is. Got screwed by a news story. It is what it is. That's what I always tell myself, right? I got to talk to myself all day long. You can't control that. You can't control a news story coming out. You put the trade on, you follow your rules, right? All right, here they go. They're going to start to push this thing, so get ready. I never got my retest of the zone, so not long, but another setup's right around the corner. Here you go. Here comes some swipes. You watch. The stop runs are already starting right here. This wasn't a threshold, but this is the beginning. The beginning of the end for the shorts, at least for the morning. All right, so again, I do this twice a day in my trade room. You guys have access to the course. You have access to the spreadsheets and the zones that I'm using. It's scottpulcinitrader.org. Hope to see you in my room. If you can't get in there, that spreadsheet is gold, I'm telling you. I'll see you guys next week.